Once upon a time, Chris called Dan and said, "I'm having an idea." When Dan got over his initial shock and horror, he agreed to hear Chris out. Suddenly, a podcast was born, and somehow I was suckered into recording the intro to give them a little bit of legitimacy. And so, here we are. Welcome to the Dan and Chris Save the World podcast.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, it's Dan.
Danielson!
How you doing tonight?
I am frustrated. I'm still having those computer issues, right? And so I'm in the process of... I was told by the last Dell guy who spoke to me that what I did not actually do a clean install of the operating system. I just did a quick kind of factory reset thing. So he gave me this whole list of things to do, right? So I had to format D to take out the hard drive. Then I had to rebuild a USB drive to be the boot piece. And then I had to format the solid state drive, the C drive. So I've cleaned off the whole damn computer.
Wow. Okay, that's fresh.
Booted from a USB and have been installing Windows from scratch. And I can. We were just talking about this the other day. I didn't realize how many passwords I have and how very few of them I remember.
I don't remember many passwords at all.
Yeah, so it's like, okay.
Yeah. So many things you remember already, or they it's just your computer remembers, or you just have. For work, I use LastPass, so I have a lot of my work passwords in LastPass.
Okay.
Otherwise I'd be lost there too. And
yeah.
I use it a little bit for my other stuff too, but but I have a huge spreadsheet of hundreds of lines of passwords.
That's amazing.
Let me show you. Yeah.
Oh, please do. Yes, show me all of your passwords.
Yeah, let me show.
If you can't trust me, who the hell can you?
I'm gonna post a picture to our blog there and the podcast there.
Well, so far it's very bare bones. I've got Office 365 back in. I've got Discord back in. I've put Chrome back in. And that's the farthest I've gotten. I've reloaded the files that my audio files and my texts and stuff and my spreadsheets and whatnot onto the D drive, that the actual physical hard drive. So I've got that all done. And so far I'm not seeing any sign of the problem, which is good.
Knock on wood. Yep.
Yeah, seriously, knock on wood. I'm knocking on my own forehead. There you have it. So we'll see where that takes me.
Yeah.
And then I'll start loading stuff in slowly over the course of the night.
Technology.
It is. But please, while we're chatting tonight, if you hear any like weird kind of hiccups or breakups or statics or anything like that, just let me know. Give me a heads up that it didn't sound right.
I'm afraid to tell you if I do.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Because at this point, at this stage of the game, I've got Dell on the ropes, right? I mean, I've proven if you hear something, then that's all the proof I need to know that I can go back to them and say, no, you really got to replace this machine now.
I've done everything you told me to.
I've done everything that I can think of and everything you've told me to. So it is time to pony up, kids.
Yeah. Technology.
I'm telling you.
Gotta love it, gotta hate it.
But, it is what it is.
Where would we be today without technology? We would not be having this conversation right now without technology.
Well, that's true. We would still be having conversations, you and I.
We might be dialing up on a rotary phone with a long cord attached to the wall.
Could you imagine if you and I were Amish?
No.
Valid answer. That was a great one, though.
No. I mean, computers have been in my life since my first computer was 8th grade, my Atari 800. My dad, before that, my dad brought home an Atari 800 from work, from Kodak, with a tape drive on it.
Oh, wow.
So the first one that I used at home was an Atari 800 with a tape drive. So,
you know what? Strangely enough, I've got you beat.
Yeah.
4th grade, my mom brings home for the summer this fancy dancy thing that the school board gave her and a couple of the other teachers at number 4 at school, the TRS-80.
Oh, yes.
The Tandy Radio Shack TRS-80.
Trash 80.
And I got to learn basic programming and the cassette tape drive too, just like you were saying.
Yep.
And that's where I discovered Zork.
Oh, Zork. Oh.
You know?
Is that still around?
I don't know. We should do that. We should surf the internet. It's got to be out there somewhere.
There's got to be a copy
The old
somewhere that'll
Infocom
work.
games, they got to be out there somewhere.
That's right. Infocom. You got a memory you remember some things like crazy.
I know, but I can't remember other things like anything. It's just in my life.
It's crazy.
My brain works in weird ways.
Yeah, before I had a computer, I had a teacher in elementary school that brought in the Hero 1 robot.
Oh, I remember those.
The kit robot.
Yeah, I remember that.
And she brought in. I ended up in charge of it, and she brought it in. And I remember driving the thing around school, that was kind of one of the earlier sparks for my love of like computer type stuff. You had to have very basic programming on it to kind of move it around and stuff like that. But I was game over when my parents brought home a computer for our own. Then a 2E and a 2C and those apples there. My dad stuck with apples all his life. But I moved on to the PCs. But yeah, for home we had both an Atari and an Apple set up in our little computer office there. So those were the days, I tell you.
Yeah, I remember my Apple IIc. That thing was a workhorse.
Mm-hmm.
I know talked about that in the past.
128K built-in disk drive. Whew. That had a handle, so it was portable.
Yep. Never used it. Well, I took it from my house to my dorm room and then back and forth. That was basically the portability factor. It made it easier to carry it around when I was moving back and forth to campus.
Just think about how different portable computers back then were compared to what we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Laptops versus the portable computer. Boy, we've changed.
Madonna mia, see, we have.
Mm-hmm.
So what you been up to today?
Oh, not too much. I mean, it was work, and then I got listening to some podcast on podcasts.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that. So it's basically how to be better podcast. Is that kind of a thing?
How to be the focus of it. What I've heard so far is how to grow your audience, how to make it, basically how to grow your audience is kind of the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
What makes a successful podcast? Because we know there's tons of them out there. We're just one of thousands of them out there.
Right, but no one has our wit, charm, and creativity.
But that's something that goes back to our Tape story. Yes,
I got you on that one.
And our Due Tape 14 Part 2 with our friend Mark Huber there, whenever we said the words wit, charm, and creativity, this music would start playing in the background, and it wouldn't stop playing until we sang Louie Louie.
Louie Louie, I say we gotta go now. Yeah.
So our tape was full of wit, charm, and creativity. But so the podcast is talking about, it's just, so some of the stuff that I was thinking about ours, because we have our, this one, there's Monkey Business. James has a couple he's doing there. And he said, if you think of the most successful podcasts, what's the common about them is that, they're specific in what they're doing. They're specific on what they're delivering to you.
Mm-hmm.
So think of some specific, and I'm thinking like, well, what's our audience? Who's our audience?
Okay. So our audience is just about anybody at this point. So
and that he says is part of the problem.
Okay.
If you're too general, a podcast for everyone is a podcast for no one.
Really?
You
don't think we can just basically speak to everybody or as many people as possible?
Not if you want to grow our audience, because it's what's going to keep them from coming back. What can we give them that nobody else can besides us?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're banking a lot on our personalities, our life experience, and our ability to talk and communicate. So what's the message we want to get across is basically what you're saying, right? So we want to focus on that.
With the thousands of podcasts out there, what will make somebody keep coming back to us?
Okay.
So that's kind of what the message is. It's, if you want a bigger audience, you need to be you need to define a more specific audience.
Okay.
So if we say we're going to do anything can happen on this podcast, there'll be the certain people that are up for anything. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, but then the other people are looking for something more specific. If you're looking for tabletop games, if you're looking for working on cars, you're looking for I just want to hear about wrestling all the time. You want to, they're going to go to more something. There's a podcast out there for it.
Okay.
So what can we deliver that nobody else can? Because I put the question out to our other group today.
Right.
Can you describe our podcast in 10 words or less?
Right. I mean, well, with Monkey Business, we have a goal. We wanted to talk about pop culture and nerd stuff and sci-fi, fantasy, things like that. Mm-hmm. And so I see what you're saying is we might need to find a more narrow. Maybe we just stick to movies. Maybe we stick to a particular franchise. We stick to movies and TVs, or we just start doing books, or
or just have a definition that defines more than what we are. Because we are, even because he was saying that even if you define yourself specifically, where our main focus is this, but if you diverge every so often, that's not a big deal. But it's just more of what's your primary definition of your podcast. So pop culture isn't bad. It's just more of maybe we got to define it a little bit more, describe ourselves a little bit more kind of thing, and, so I've only listened to a little bit so far, but I just come up with all this stuff. Like it kind of makes sense because how, what's going to make them, we have our diehard groups of people who love us.
Yes.
But
and I'm grateful for them.
I'm totally grateful for them, and they help us a lot. And but what will make more people find us, be interested in us, and stick with us?
Okay.
Because what's our main demographic? When we started, FC3, that's kind of, and I kind of was looking at that from the FC3 point of view too for Flower City Comic Con there because, we wanted to be able to give our, to kind of attract any audience, but is it too much of a problem right now because we can't grow yet? Are we too general?
I don't see. Here's the thing: for a pop culture convention, I don't know if there's such a thing as too general, because one of the things we've kind of prided ourselves on. Excuse me, my bad grammar there. From the beginning, was having a little bit of something for everybody. So I understand what you're saying, that there might be a negative aspect to having a broader appeal. But I wonder if, for a podcast, I understand. You want to try and narrow the focus down so you can really get the listenership going. And if you split off from once in a while, great. Because God knows on Monkey Business, when the four of us get going, the conversation's liable to go anywhere. Right? It can go anywhere at any time. And that's part of the fun of it. And I think we've also touched on some really fun stuff. I mean, we've talked about role-playing games, and we've talked about TV shows, and we've talked about movies and comic books and things like that. And we've had fun with all of those conversations. Then we turned around and did a poetry slam, and so I don't know. It's hard to say how I want to try and to focus that. I'm sure there are ways to do it, but when it comes to the actual convention itself, when you have a metro area of Monroe County and surrounding area of like 1.7 million people plus, I would want to try to appeal to many of those as possible if they know they have something that they can look forward to, and then maybe exposed to something they didn't anticipate or something brand new altogether. I would have a hard time narrowing the focus of the convention. But that's my opinion.
Right. And that's kind of what all of our thoughts were going into this. In the back, and it's kind of in the back of my head, it's kind of bothered me a little bit.
Okay.
Just because, if you try to give too much, if you try to spread it out too much, how are you going to attract the people who are looking for one thing? Or mainly one thing? Are you going to attract them, or they're going to just say they have one, there's one thing that I might like there, but nothing else. Are people going to travel for this if it's just more of a mishmash of a lot of different things versus if, they're a Doctor Who fan, they're going to, they have a lot of Doctor Who stuff, or they're a Star Trek person, there's a lot of Star Trek stuff, or, whatever. I'm not saying we change, but thinking about it more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, so it's just food for thought. It's just,
Right.
I'm not sure if we need to change or if we do change, how we should change.
Well, here's an idea. Let me throw this idea. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me throw this idea out. Maybe because we have so many products now, we have so many things that we do. What if we worked on cleaning up the other things? Like with Monkey Business. Okay, let's focus on. I'm just pulling, off, nothing to be holden and set in stone. Monkey Business becomes a podcast about sci-fi and fantasy movies only. And we talk about franchises. We talk about Star Wars, MCU, Lord of the Rings, whatever. Boom. But we're just talking about movies and movie series and what we think of them. And we'll go back and we'll talk about Indiana Jones, or we'll go back to the original, serials that inspired George Lucas. But we're going to talk about movies. Okay, cool. And then Anne and Tanya have comic chicks. So we're going to be focusing on comic books through them. And we've got Chrissy and James talking about video games. Okay, cool. So we have these singular products talking about one specific thing, but then, wow, it just popped in my head. But then the convention it remains where it all comes together. Our original slogan. So if maybe we can use the podcasts and streamlining them, focusing them, and doing our part to grow those bases for those, and then use the convention to tie it into a nice, neat little package with Simi the monkey sitting on top of it going, hi, look what we got.
Yeah. I mean,
that's my thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, I'm not saying, we have to do something a certain way. I'm just throwing things out there to kind of,
getting the conversation going is never a bad thing.
You should always question what you're doing and look at it and just say, make sure you're doing something right, and make sure there's not a better way to do it or a different way to do it. And maybe we narrow a couple of things with the convention, but I mean, I do like that it should appeal to a broad range of people, but maybe we don't make it as broad quite, or we do something different, or I don't even know. I don't know what we would do differently, but, try, open up more pop culture versus just, sci-fi and fantasy. I don't know, sci-fi and, I don't know. It's just, yeah. Make it more about us, make it more about, it'd be great if we can get all the different, entities under the Mighty Monkey Corporation bigger, and make that more of a heart of the convention type of thing. So the convention is more about, the Mighty Monkey Corporation, and what we're bringing in, and all our different, our podcasts and whatever else, Nerd World News and whatever else we might bring out in the future. Our publishing company, and whatever else we end up creating someday. But it's just food for thought. So I want to question it. I want to, even if we're just changing our description of the podcast, even if we're just change how we describe it, so it's if people look at it, they can tell what they're getting into, type of thing. So I mean, just something like that. I think I was writing down a couple of things, because I said, describe it in 10 words or less. So I gave my 2 words. I'll share it to the rest of the group later, but we'll hear it first here. But I came up with a couple. Nerds talking about nerd things to entertain and have fun. Or we identify as nerds and geeks. So do our conversations.
Say that one again.
We identify as nerds and geeks. So do our conversations.
Okay.
So, it's just food for thought. We always gotta question it, because you never know what they're gonna bring out. So that's what I was thinking of today. Brain's going crazy.
Okay, no, and you know what? That's a good conversation, because here's the bottom line. I want to be successful at this. I want to be successful at this. I want you to be successful with me. I want Tanya, Ann, Brian, Laura all in on the ride, because if we're successful, one, that's fun. That's that adage of, if you love what you do, or if you turn your hobby into your job, you never work a day in your life. That whole aphorism there. I would love to be able to do that. I would love that if we could make an entertainment career out of our, a second life, basically, a second career out of entertainment, because I see the effect that we have on people when we get it right. And it is such a gratifying thing. It's beautiful when you can bring something to somebody that they hadn't seen before, that they've always wanted to see, or that they didn't know they needed to see. And like way back in the day, at another show I was volunteering for, Michael Winslow, the comedian and voice actor, showed up just out of the blue.
I was there.
That's right. You were there. You were there with me. You're one of my teams there.
That was amazing.
It was amazing that he just showed up because he was friends with a couple of the people who were on the guest panel for this show. And he allowed me to just give him a tour of the convention because he'd never really been to one before. And unbeknownst to me, this guy who was live podcasting from the vendor floor was a huge Michael Winslow fan. And his wife came up to me at one point as I was walking Michael around, and he goes, while Michael was talking to a vendor, this lady comes up. She goes, "Excuse me, I hate to be stupid, but is that really Michael Winslow?" I said, "Yeah, it's him." She's like, "Oh my God." She goes, "My husband," and she points over her shoulder to the guy who was podcasting with his buddy, and they were just deep in conversation, is a huge Michael Winslow fan. And she goes, "Do you mind bringing him over?" And at this point, Michael turns around and hears this. And I'm like, "Mr. Winslow?" He goes, "First of all, Michael." I said, "Okay, Michael." I go, "There's a huge fan of yours over there doing some podcasting, and would you mind?" He goes, "These are why this." He goes, "This is what I live for." He goes, "Without my fans, I would never have a career." He goes, "I'm all in." He goes, "Where is this guy?" And the wife is now officially giddy because she has now put the 2 + 2 in her head, knowing that this moment is going to happen. This guy there are posters of Michael Winslow on this guy's home office, from what I'm being told. And he has all of the concerts, all of the videos, all the movies he's ever been in. Boom. He has them all on DVD. This is a genuine this is like you and Debbie Gibson, right? And so Michael goes to me. He goes, big fella. He taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "You're bigger than I am. You lead me in. I don't want him to see me until it's too late." I go, "Absolutely. I'm all in. I am so all in." Right. So I walk up to the guy, and the guy catches himself mid-sentence, and he sees me, and he knows I'm one of the volunteers. He goes, "Hey, hi, I'm sorry. Are we okay? We have to keep recording." I'm like, keep recording, because I want to see what your reaction when this happens." And he looks at me, and goes, "What?" And I step aside, and there's Michael. He goes, "Hi, man. I hear you're a fan." Holy fuck! It was the guy just goes, "Holy fuck!" And he's like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." I was like, "Oh, that is the absolute best thing ever." Just the sheer joy, just the absolute joy in this guy's face to see his hero and essentially one of his favorite people.
And I'm unexpected and out of the blue, and
I live for that, dude. I so live for that.
Those are the moments that we want to. It's about the experience. We've talked about it before. We want the experience to be something that people remember, whatever that experience is. If it's meeting your favorite celebrity out of the blue, a surprise like that, we can't always reproduce that, of course. But, but
Mike, you've heard me tell my other favorite anecdote. About the very first FC3 back in 2016. So a couple of months go by. We were in April of 2016. And so over the summer, I'm visiting my favorite comic book shop. I'm getting my pull list. I'm chatting with a couple of the guys. I turn, there's this girl. She says, "Excuse me." I'm sorry. I'm in your way. Let me get out of your way. I step aside and I look at her. I'm like, "Oh, the Rock City Roller Derby T-shirt. I saw it on her." I'm like, "Oh, we had you guys at the show doing a demo." She goes, "Yeah, that's where I met them." I'm like, "Wait, what?" She goes, I'd only thought roller derby was this joke that people told to each other or talked about from like the 70s disco era or something like that. She goes, "I saw the demonstration at your show and I joined them."
That's awesome.
This girl got a hobby because of us.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my God, that is amazing." That's the reason I do this.
That's what we love about it. That's why we got to make sure we don't lose that and
Right.
we bring more of it into it. We got to make sure we get some demonstrations this time.
Yeah.
Make sure we have more of those. Now that I think about it, but yeah, I mean the more we can do with it.
I would like to see the Irish dancers come back,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to finally get the Jedi Academy in. Even better if we can get the Irish dancers to fight the Jedi Academy. I think that'd be
hilarious.
That'd be hilarious.
I'm not sure if we can arrange that part.
I don't know if we can arrange that part.
But yeah, if we get them, yeah, there's just so much. Yeah. Thanks for saying that, because I kind of forgot about that a little bit. But the Michael Winslow was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have him like pop in, I was like, oh,
mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's available as a guest. What do you think?
You know, one of my daughter's absolute best friends, this tiny little thing called Anna. She is an absolute sweetheart. She calls me Dad. She's a doll. I love her dearly. Has a very deep love for the character of Winnie the Pooh. It was one of her solace, one of her safe places when she was growing up as a small child. Amidst all the craziness in her life, she'd have her Winnie the Pooh books and her Winnie the Pooh videos and her Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal. So imagine her feeling when she came to the 16 show and met Jim Cummings, and she did not understand the connection straight away until Jules said, "Oh no, he does a whole bunch of voices for Disney." And right in front of Jim, she starts putting 2 + 2 together, and she goes, "You're the voice of Winnie the Pooh?" And because he's such a class act, and I love this man so much, what did he do? He dropped right into the voice and started talking to Anna as Winnie the Pooh. And didn't our poor girl just break down in just the happiest tears? Those are the moments I live for when it comes to this job. Absolutely love that. I love being able to bring things to people and just have them enjoy it. It's just amazing.
I'd love to be able to do it more.
Yes.
You remember in one of a couple of the mall conventions, the mini cons there's a couple of older gentlemen who attended, and I forget what they talked. Do you remember them?
Were they Chrissy's friends that do the Sherlock Holmes thing?
No, these were guys who just they happened to hear about us, and they dressed up and went to the convention.
The mini cons at the mall.
We talked to them at the mini con, but they went to the main FC3 because I remember seeing them at least the last FC3.
I don't remember. It's not ringing a bell, at least.
Okay, maybe you weren't there when I was talking with them, but again, they were like, we didn't know Rochester had this, and but they just happened to hear it by accident.
Okay.
And we've gotten a lot of that people that we if you know how to get us so people can hear about us, every listeners, then let us know, because
seriously,
we've gotten so many that people just happen to, whatever advertising we do doesn't seem to work. And I got some ideas about that later too, but we'll talk about that at another time.
Sounds good. I know we have a friend of ours who's coming on board to help us with some of that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just very interesting to hear about that, and they had a ball at the convention. These gentlemen here, I forget. I don't have the memory like you. I can't remember what they came as and everything, but they both came in cosplay, and they had a ball.
That's all that matters to me.
I can find pictures.
And they were older fellas.
They're older fellas, yeah, older than us even.
Wow, that's old.
That must be pretty old then, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's serious aging right there.
But those are the reasons why we do this. So listeners, if you have stories from FC3, we would love to hear your stories. Anyone out there, we want to hear what you think of FC3. Why do you love it?
Or why do you not like it?
Why do you not like it?
I want to know that too, because if we can figure out how to change it up and you get a better experience out of the deal, then I'm all about it.
Remember, we're a small convention.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to see Mark Hamill no matter how many times Billy mentions it. Unless something big happens, you're probably not going to see him anytime soon. But unfortunately, we're not going to get the big guest because we just, they're expensive.
Right.
There's a lot of money, not a lot of stuff that comes with that.
There will come a day where we can probably pull that off, but we have to do a lot of A to B to C to D first before we get to MH.
We don't want to take away from the rest of the convention just to bring you one big guest.
Right.
Because you're not all going to come, not everybody's going to come for the one big guest. We want to have the overall experience, so
exactly.
You're going to see the smaller names, and hopefully we get some good ones. You have fun with them and they have fun with you, because it's all about having fun.
Right.
And for us, for you, for everybody, we want everybody to be having fun.
I'm going to say this. I know I've said this before. I've even said it to an actual member of this particular franchise. I have never really been a dyed-in-the-wool true Power Ranger fan.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought the show was a little bit on the too cheesy side. I didn't get into it like everybody else has. I've always felt it's kind of a knockoff of this, that, and the other thing. So I never really I never thought it was a bad show. I see the appeal, and I like how they constantly changing up the cast. It keeps it fresh, keeps it new, keeps the merchandising going strong.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you this, I have met at this point now, because of FC3, I have met something like 12, I think, 11 or 12 actors who've played Power Rangers.
A bunch, yeah.
Every single one of them have been amazing human beings.
Mm-hmm.
I love every single one of them, and I've become friends with Karen Ashley, the second Yellow Ranger.
She's
She
awesome.
and I talk all the time on Facebook. She is an absolute delight. The woman is a complete joy.
Mm-hmm.
And Nakia Burrise, Kat Sutherland, the ladies are just amazing. And Jason Font has been so generous with his time and so understanding as we've had to reschedule because of COVID. He's hung in there with us. Austin St. John was a blast to have at the oh my God, he's amazing. Walter Jones was fantastic. Kevin Duhanian, and I can't remember, it was Kevin and there was another gentleman, the two guys that came from Toronto to do the one mini-con for us.
I don't remember.
These guys, they're just good people. And I think that's why I'm okay with keep inviting Power Rangers back. I know the fan base likes to have them around. But more importantly, I've enjoyed hanging out with the actors because they're such beautiful people.
They're very personable. They're out to have fun. They appreciate they appreciate the fans, and they're just they're not so full of themselves that they're stuck up or anything like that. They're relaxed and they have fun, and that's what the kind of guests we want. I mean, we've had some guests which have not been done too well.
Nasty boys.
Well, that was a mistake.
Yeah,
but,
it was.
But because we panicked at the last minute in the first convention, we were newbies back then,
right?
But there's some other guests that just haven't been comfortable, or just they couldn't. They weren't good guests, they weren't the kind of, especially for a small convention. You need someone who's going to put themselves out there. They're going to try to have some fun and try to do what they can. And, if you get the ones that just sit behind the table and just hopefully and wait for somebody, it's not going to work in a convention like ours. People are going to be, are going to be unsure. They're not going to want to approach them, so it's finding the right kind of guest for who we are it's always a tough mixture, especially with the way conventions have gone and guarantees have skyrocketed lately. And, so it's definitely a big challenge to make this what we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think we really understood what we were getting ourselves into when we came up with the idea.
No, and I think as we were coming up with the idea, I think that's when things kind of got quote unquote worse as far as it's not quite saturated, but it's there's a lot more going on and there's a lot more visibility to these conventions. And that's why, the guarantees have gone up a lot, and it's harder to get people. Or
I gotta wonder if COVID's going to be the great equalizer, though.
I wonder. I wonder what's going to happen, because you're going to have the two types of people. You're going to have the ones who just want to get out with the fans, and the guarantee's might not be as big a deal. Then there's the ones who just want to make the money. So
right.
We don't want the ones that just want to make the money. We want the ones who are here for the fans.
And
that's what we need. We need the Walking Dead guy. We need Michael Koski to come out and stalk Tanya's house.
That was one of my favorite moments of all time. Oh my
gosh, I couldn't believe that they did
Greg
that.
French and Michael Koski from The Walking Dead hijacked Josh Hurtman from Harry Potter. They got an Uber. They had found out Tanya's home address, and they went out and they took pictures. They took selfies in her front yard with her house in the background, looking like an album cover, just looking off in different directions, just kind of just chilling. And poor Josh even admitted after he had no idea what was going on. He just got scooped up by the two of them and thought, hey, let's go. Just, shine, whatever.
We need guests like that. Those guys
They were
McCluskey and
so
French
much
were,
fun.
oh my gosh, were amazing. They were just, shenanigans all weekend. They were just,
And I'm happy. Michael, Tanya, and we've been close over the years since the guys came to the show,
hmm
and we keep in touch. And I consider him another friend.
yeah,
It's great the people we've met and the situations we found ourselves in these relationships we've developed. It's very gratifying.
yeah,
You don't know, and I guess because here a little quick tangent here. I mean, we call this particular podcast "Dan and Chris Save the World," and I think every podcast so far we've managed to have some sort of a message
hmm
in the middle. We talk about these random things. We talked about our personal histories. We talk about our viewpoints on things, but each one we've had a little bit of a message to take away from. And if there's anything you can take away from this is, first of all, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you're making mistakes or if things are not going the way that they're supposed to, be honest and say it's okay. I can change course. We can learn something new. We can say, hey, this isn't working. How do we do it different? But also, more importantly, I think than that, even that is the sum total of some of the things I'm talking about tonight is you never know what you're going to find yourself in, and be open to new experiences because you never know how rewarding that is going to be.
hmm
You never know exactly how um, who you're going to become friends with or who you're going to learn something from.
right,
So that's a thing. But anyway, those are my thoughts.
yeah,
That's just we have several of them. You and I, we suffer the curse of the creative, where our
mhm.
brains are always working a mile a minute, and it's not always at focused on where they should probably be at that very moment, but they can be all over the place
Yeah.
doing
But
other
that's
things.
how. Hopefully, we have a good brainstorm from some of these, and
Yeah.
with a change of venue for the next FC3 that allows us to change it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting doing it at the Blue Cross Arena there. That was definitely an interesting place
It was
to do it.
interesting. Yeah, there was some disappointing parts, but also some very cool parts about it too.
hmm
You
The
know.
staff was great.
Yes, it was. The staff was amazing. The people
The,
there are just fantastic.
yeah. So I mean, the staff were great. It's just that it wasn't ideal place for the convention. Although there's
No.
plenty of seating though.
Yeah, I know. It was fun to see the kids all kind of gathering in various sections of the stands.
Yeah, I mean
Mhm.
that's kind of neat to have all that seating and just people could sit a place they could sit and still see the vendor floor type of thing and kind of be there still.
Mhm.
So I mean that was
We
kind
had
of neat.
great. Our office was in a great location.
Oh my gosh,
That was
yeah,
fun being able to look down over the floor and see everything.
that was a great idea. The suites, our offices in the suites, that was awesome. So that and it was good stuff to it. So we'll see this.
You know what? I'll tell you what though, the two times in recent weeks that I've gone back to the convention center to get my inoculations against COVID,
hmm
I miss that building.
Yeah.
There's a vibe, there's a location to the building, there's a presence to it. I mean, it needs a lot of updating. It needs some love. It really, I
hmm
mean, if we won the lottery and could buy the damn building and really upgrade it, that'd be amazing. But I just miss having the convention at the convention center, but
Yeah.
they just make it impossible to do it.
hmm
They just kept cranking up our fees and not giving us really anything for it. It was amazing.
Yeah, and our buddy there who is our he's not there anymore, right?
Yeah, Tim Newton is not
Tim,
he wouldn't be our liaison anymore, and
yeah,
that would make me sad because Tim was just
he
priceless.
yeah he helped us make the show because he was there for everything. So I don't
Yes,
who knows if we go back if when what we'd get and
he was
everything.
very. Not only was he understanding and able to anticipate what we were doing, but he was also excessively tolerant.
But
He was excessively tolerant of our insanity.
yes,
I don't know if the convention center staff has another person who could tolerate the monkey business crew the way that
no,
Tim did.
I think he had a fun though too. So that was
Yeah,
the
he had
best
a good
part.
time. I could
So
tell
that
he had
was
a good time.
yeah. But maybe someday we'll see. It's just that there was access wise, there's there was two elevators. There was one in the main area and one super slow one off of the
Oh,
hidden
that
somewhere.
super slow one was terrible.
And the escalators were somewhat working usually. Yeah, I mean it's sad that it's just yeah, it needs a lot of TLC.
Yeah.
but the space wise, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we moved up, we could move upstairs.
Oh, that was amazing when we had both floors. That was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just challenges everywhere, but but moving on.
Exactly. Learn and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Stick and move.
A lot of space and total sports experience, so that'll
be great. Really cool to see it spread out and see how we do with it. I am concerned about the panel area. I'm just not comfortable with how it's going to work, but we'll do the best we can. See what happens.
Yeah, it's not ideal, and I agree. I don't love it. I think we're going to make the best of a not ideal situation.
Of a difficult situation.
It's not going to be ideal, but I think it'll turn out good in the end. We just got some challenges to make the walls and things like that. So
yeah. Well, first of all, we got to figure out when we can actually have the damn thing. I don't know if September's going to work.
I don't know. I mean, things are happening now, but I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe we should put a poll out to our audience there, people, and what do they think? Would they be comfortable? We don't know what September's going to bring.
I mean, there are shows going off in DC in August, and there are shows going off in October here in Rochester, but then there are also shows in the region in September and November that have canceled already because they're just anticipating or postponed. Canceled is the wrong way to say it, but postponed. I mean, New York State has not shown any indication that it is going to let go of a lot of its restrictions. I mean, it's starting to open up for like sporting events,
Yeah, I mean, this past week, RBTL they announced, they're pushing for this next season, which starts in September. So their first show is going to be the weekend of our show. It's coming in that Tuesday before, so the 21st to the 25th, whatever is they're planning for the next season starting that time. So and I assume assuming they can be at full capacity by then, because those shows can't be at half capacity and make money.
Right. Well, we're gonna have to look into that Excelsior Pass too that's been going around New York.
Yeah, then people, it's I mean, is it the kind of thing where we require that, or I don't know. I mean,
I would almost think we were going to be put in a position where we would have to, aren't we? Or wouldn't that be mandatory because if we're an event gathering? Or
I don't know. I don't know what the
we need to learn more.
Yeah, I mean, it's so it's I mean, well, we have to be at pretty much almost full capacity to make this work. If we were at half capacity, we have to do a different type of show.
Right. It would almost be like an expanded version of the Minicon.
Kind of. I mean, because we can't have a crowded panel room then potentially. The game area, the area we set aside for the gaming is pretty large, so we have some flexibility there. The vendor floor is pretty large. I mean, there's space there. It's just that there's potentially things we wouldn't be able to do as easily. So
I'm wondering if I should just trust my own instincts. I was very, very comfortable with the first 3 shows, and they didn't do what we expected them to do. That's fine. I'm very uncomfortable with TSC, so I think we should probably just take that as we're going to be fine. Everything's going to work out perfectly. Everything's going to be fine. Chris doesn't know what the hell's happening. That's good.
On the plus side, I think there'd be a lot of people who just want to do something.
Yes, that's true. I mean, that is definitely a vibe. Right, I see that a lot, especially.
I want to do something. I want to do something.
I do too.
Get out of my house. I mean,
I would love to. Oh my God, I chat with cosplayers all the time, and they're just jonesing for events.
I miss the cosplayers. I miss them.
I miss them too. Yeah, they're amazing people. Most of them are. Well, some. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, they are. Never mind.
So it's just. Oh, I don't know. It's a roll of the dice right now, and I wanted to wait. I want to wait till June before we give a definite yes or no to moving forward. So I'm hoping by June we'll have a better idea.
That makes sense. More information is always better.
Yeah, and I say even if we did scale it back a little bit, I think we could still do something.
Right.
Because so it's just. Yeah, I mean, play it by ear, I guess, but. Still convention, yeah. So,
yeah. And for our next trick,
watch me pull a podcast out of my head.
Well, at least you're not pulling a podcast out of your ass.
Well, this one almost
we've
feels
had
like
a podcast. Here's the thing: is we've had a podcast about your ass.
That's right, exactly.
And that's America's ass.
Now the funny thing is, there was a brief pause a few minutes ago. You're not going to hear, but Chris was talking about his poor Juno there. His dog.
Oh yeah.
And it sounded like almost a conversation I've been having with my doctors about my poop.
It's so weird. It's so weird to talk about your dog's poop over the phone with somebody who actually understands what you're talking about. It's just weird, man.
It is weird. I mean, I've gotten very comfortable talking about my nether regions
Josh.
there. Yes.
Hello, Josh.
So I mean, it's definitely it's definitely a life-changing thing there, and you think of things differently and everything. So,
how you holding up, brother, with all that? By the way, how's things going?
Right now, I'm doing okay. The IV, I'm not doing the IV chemo right now. That was the heavy duty.
That was
one.
A big thing.
Yeah, and that really knocked me out. I mean, that was worse than any of the vaccine side effects, because it really knocked me down for weeks.
Oof.
So right now I'm just taking the chemo pills, which drain me. So it's all about fatigue right now. I was going out for a walk. What is today? Tuesday. Sunday. Went out for a walk.
Today's Tuesday.
Sunday went out for a walk, and I was breathing hard. I'm in pretty decent shape usually. But
Marathon
just
man.
walking around the block was I had to kind of take a breath. So it's the fatigue is hitting me more this time than, but this is the first time I've taken the pills. Well, that's not true. Back when I first started all this, back in October last year, November, I was taking the pills and radiation, but I take the pills for 5 days and 2 days off, 5 days, 2 days off. Now I'm taking them for 14 days straight and then a week off. So it's adding up more during that 14 days. So I'm getting, because I'm in a week and a half right now, right? Is that when I started? Week and a half? I have no idea.
It sounds about right.
Because I didn't start this past week, or was it this past week? Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I should know what that is. But so I'm deep into. Let me see. I started this last one. I keep spreadsheet. No, it is. It's only been not even a week yet. It's a week tomorrow. Okay, it started on the 14th, so I'm about a week in. So as we record, if we have our phone conversation here on Tuesday night,
yes.
Tomorrow is Wednesday, and that's I've been a week on them now, but I've been feeling it more this time. But also, I've been taking them for 2 other cycles before that, and it's all compounds on each other. So I get a little recovery time, and then it adds back in, but it's cumulative. So, but overall, it's better without the IV. So I mean, I'll deal with the fatigue. It's kind of annoying, but when I'm mowing my lawn, I like, take a breath and catch my breath. But I can deal with that versus not being able to touch anything cold or drink or just have a miserable week or two with the IV stuff. So, yay, cancer. But yeah. Anyways, what's new with you?
Not much. I mean, I had vaccine part 2 on Saturday, and then when I woke up Sunday, I was fine for all of maybe about a half an hour, and then the fatigue started in, and then the joint pain started. The arthritis in my knees just ramped up to 11, and it made the next couple of days difficult. But I got some good sleep in last night. I'm feeling better today. I'm moving around a little bit better. I should be fine in no time.
Yeah.
But my superpowers have failed to manifest. I'm very irritated by that.
Which I think how disappointed I am with all the stuff I've been going through.
Seriously.
I had radiation too. I got nothing. I feel really gypped. I wanted something. I expected some kind of power to come along. Jeez, radiation, chemo, I should get something. What a bum deal.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm thinking at least, you were owed at least a spontaneous regeneration cycle.
There you go. That'd be pretty
You
cool.
know. Although with my luck, you're the next Dan. You know, the second Daniel probably wouldn't like me as much as the first one did.
Dan Part 2.
The second Dan. Well, you've gotten taller.
That'd be kind of scary, another Dan. Well, my work keeps my coworkers keep asking for a clone of me, so maybe that'd be a good thing. I don't know for them.
Well, no, it wouldn't be an additional Dan. It would be like going William Hartnell to Patrick Troughton kind of a thing.
Okay, all right. I'd regenerate. Okay.
You'd be generating, not cloning.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, as harsh as that would sound, I would want to make a clone of you and have the clone go through all the cancer treatments so you could be fine. That's brutal. That's a brutal thing to think.
Split the work there. Yeah, that's not fun, but
no.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of people are getting definitely getting more side effects for the second dose there.
Yeah,
and it's been going for a couple of days for a lot of people. Like for you, it's a couple of days.
Now, my dear mother,
mm-hmm.
in her late 70s, if I say the exact number and she hears this, she'll kick my butt. So, but my dear mother, she goes like, yeah, no, I was a little stiff, but I'm fine. I'm out gardening today, and I'm like, okay, I had no heart to tell her how bad I felt. She's going to make me look. It's just going to be embarrassing. Yes. Well, of course, my mother has done a much more superlative job of taking care of herself than I have done for myself. But I can't argue. I can't argue.
I just
love
had
her
a
for
sore
it.
arm.
She's amazing.
So,
I swear to God, I think my mother's immortal.
Well, hopefully, she'll be around for a while there to prove you're right there.
Yeah, long time to come.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do without her. Honestly, I'd be a mess.
She seems really young.
She does, doesn't she?
She does.
She's
almost scary how young she seems.
Yeah, she's amazing. It still happens once in a great while when the two of us would go out, just the two of us, which is easy because I don't have any siblings. And invariably the waiter would ask at one point, he would look at me and be like, well, sir, did you want anything, or did you or your wife want anything else in particular? I said, well, my wife is at home, but my mother right now would probably like another glass of wine. That's your mother? Yeah, that's my mom.
Your mom keeps herself up well.
She's amazing.
She is.
I'm also glad. I'm glad she doesn't listen to the podcast all that often, because then she wouldn't hear me say how much she's my hero. Then she'd be like, "Oh, stop getting sappy."
All right, so I'm going to save the snippet of that sound
there you go.
and send it to her.
That's it. It's okay. You can send her an email. She won't know how to open it.
I'll find a way to get into her Alexa, so whenever she says something, it was like,
I see how you are. Just for that, I'm inviting you over for pasta.
Oh,
I'm gonna make you twirl that stuff too.
Your mom needs a laugh. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, I do. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
His mom loved. I've had stories from living over his house. I guess that they.
Yes, Daniel's pasta twirling technique is, shall we call it, comically subpar.
But it gets in my mouth.
You get the job done. That's all that matters. But it's just so entertaining to watch you do it. That's just the best part. That, I think, as soon as my parents would know you were coming home with me, they would shift all their dinner plans and just start making pasta.
That's why we always had pasta, huh?
More often than not, yes. My dad just wanted to watch you twirl.
It was pretty frequent, I think, yeah.
Yes. But you also have to remember, we were a fairly Italian household, too, so pasta was just a regular thing,
Yes, yeah.
My mom and I often say we could eat it every day and be happy.
That's kind of what I thought it was, but I'm not surprised it would be for the entertainment value,
but your
too.
twirling skills were just an added bonus to the experience.
Or my witty comments during meals,
Gee, I love food. That's nice, but don't call me G.
Of all the things I love to eat, foods are my favorites.
Oh my God, the time you said that in front of my father was just priceless. Anybody who meets my dad will understand my sense of humor within 10 seconds. That's all, right? Okay, and you know that I can be fairly twisted, so I got that from my father. It's just a thing. All right. So Dan comes over, and he does his little one-liners, as he's prone to do, and he was not understanding he was not understanding the audience.
I wasn't thinking about it. I just said it without even thinking about it.
Just said it. Of all the things I like to eat, food is one of my favorites. And then the room went silent as my dad just starts staring at him with this grin on his face, right? Because you already knew.
As soon as it was coming out, I couldn't stop myself from saying it.
Yes. My dad's thought pattern went from PG to PG-13 straight down into R right off the bat, and just starts laughing. And then, of course, my mother is giggling because she thought my dad's response was hilarious. And I knew it. I knew it. So as soon as my dad started laughing, of course, I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard. And then Dan is turning a new shade of red. The same red you're turning right now. I can see it in the screen at the moment. It's fantastic.
It's because I didn't mean to say it. It was like it was just one of those,
it was amazing.
I say it among my peers, but I didn't mean to say it in front of
instead of in front of a parent. Yeah. Especially a parent as twisted as mine. Oh, that was glorious. That was fucking glorious.
We had good times. We still have good times.
We still do.
We have lots of good times. There'll be many more to come. We're still young.
Absolutely.
We're only halfway done, at least.
That's it. Halftime.
Yep.
Oh man.
Boy. Oh woman.
Oh my.
Oh person.
There you go. That's very effective. That's good. I like that. That's okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, so what you up to for the rest of the night?
Sleep, probably.
Sleep is a good idea.
If I can manage to sleep more than a few hours at a time, I'll be in good shape. But
is it just anxiety or pain, or is it the bag?
It's not pain. The bag a little bit because I have it tends to fill up. I got my ostomy bag here. And we had chili the other night, and gaseous foods, the gas has got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I know. So you get an inflatable there.
I have an inflatable bag, so I wake up this huge monster bag.
Oh my God!
I can't. I used to be a stomach sleeper.
Okay.
Before this, and I can't really sleep on my stomach with the ostomy there. Probably theoretically I could, but so I'm more. I kind of start off in my back or end up on my side. And so they had this big cushion on my side preventing me from rolling over the other night. I'm like, oh my gosh. It just, but.
Slight tangent, but not too far. Are you still a Cheerios addict?
I will eat them if available, yes. I've been eating a lot more different stuff, but I still do love the Cheerios, yes.
I only bring that up because Jules and I were talking about it a little bit earlier today. Mm-hmm. And because both of us, Jules has discovered her addiction to goldfish crackers. And so I've been getting her goldfish crackers every so often. And along the way, I've rediscovered that I really like them too. And so she made the comment about genetics and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And she goes, it was so funny. She goes, the other day you were getting ready for podcasting with Uncle Dan and Tanya and Billy. And she goes, I didn't hear anything, but I could hear you munch on the goldfish crackers. She goes, and I got the biggest kick out of that. And so I started telling her a story about you when we were living together in that townhouse in Irondequoit.
Oh, I love that townhouse.
And I'd go, I'd be going to bed late at night, or I'd be getting up in the morning, and at the other end of the hall was your room, and I could see the light under the door, and I could hear munch as you're sitting there munching on Cheerios. You'd go through like a box a week.
I don't know, a lot.
Reading a book in bed,
reading in bed, eating Cheerios. I wasn't just eting Cheerios in bed; I was reading and eating Cheerios.
Yes, that was your thing.
But yes, I would sit and munch my Cheerios and. I still love the Cheerios.
But yeah, she was curious because, and then she also wanted to be reminded when your birthday was. I don't think those two things are related, but I think she wanted to basically do to you what I did to Scott, because Scott has his smart food addiction. So for Christmas, I had gotten him from Secret Santa of our gaming group. Mm-hmm. So I gave him this huge bag full of various bags of smart food. And he just looked as soon as he saw it, he just started laughing. He looked at me and goes, I hate you. And I'm like, yes, you do. I know. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. That townhouse is fun.
That was a fun time. We threw some good parties there.
I wish it lasted longer.
I do too.
We had the neighbors that we couldn't do any noise in there because the one neighbors on one side, the slightest sound, it seemed they would.
Yeah, they were knocking on the wall.
So they could live without the neighbors. But
I'm like, what did these people? Would they live next to deaf people before? What the hell?
No idea. We had barely any noise there. They come knocking on the doors. Come on, people. Barely. It wasn't even that late. Come on. We weren't all night partiers or anything.
No, we really weren't.
But we had the toga party. We had the pajama party.
The pajama party was a lot of fun.
Yeah, toga party. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Are those the only 2 parties we had?
We had a housewarming party, and we also, I think, we had each other's birthdays at one point. Where it's just those were smaller gatherings, basically.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was nice because it was a 2-story with a full basement.
Mm-hmm.
So we set up our computers in the basement.
Mm-hmm. We had a full lounge in the basement.
Mm-hmm. And we would instant message each other from across the basement.
Yeah, we're back to back, maybe like 8 feet away from each other, and we're still instant messaging each other through our freaking computers. Hours upon hours of Command and Conquer being played.
Command and Conquer. Still love that game.
I do too. That was a lot of fun. I wonder if there's a version of it out there. I think Steam. I think Steam is carrying it right now.
I have Command and Conquer.
Oh, do you?
I have some of them work, some of them don't. It's on it's not on Steam, it's on Origin Games.
Origin? Okay.
Yeah.
Does it run well on your computer, or is it
some of them run, some of them don't for some reason. Okay. Like some of them, like one of them ran in the last computer, but it's not running in the new one or something. I don't know. I haven't played with it in the last few months.
When I get things up online on this computer after I get it finished off in the fixing of it, I'll start tooling along and seeing what I can play.
Like Yuri's Revenge and stuff like that. And
I remember those. Yeah. Those were great games.
No, it was simple games. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Build your base, beat the bad guy.
Right. You didn't have to get too into it and everything. And yeah.
The flood of prism tanks.
Oh yeah, that's still my strategy is to build up a big army of those prism tanks and then just wipe out everything else. If I can survive long enough to build up a big enough cache of prism tanks, I could defeat anybody. It was great. Mm-hmm. I come over with like 30 prism tanks and they're gone.
Well, you and I, when we were playing against the computer. Mm-hmm. We would link up our bases, and I would do the defenses. You would do the army, and we would just crush everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, multiplayer. I haven't done multiplayer in ages. But yeah, those were the days.
Those were the days.
Miss having the time to do that.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, I know. There's a lot of things I miss.
Mm-hmm.
Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most.
Yeah. Mine left a long time ago.
I know, seriously, wandered off with mine, I think.
Mm-hmm. I hope they're having fun wherever they are.
Honestly. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to loading everything back in and seeing if I can make sure this computer still works.
All right. Good luck with that. Hopefully this fixes it.
Yeah, seriously.
If not, I guess I would try sound card next if this doesn't do it.
No, if this doesn't do it, then this is proof that there's something going on with the hardware. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go back to Dell, and I'm going to be like, all right, I played the game your way. Now you're going to play it my way. Mm-hmm. And I'll just climb the ladder until somebody gives me what I want out of that one.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll go Karen maneuver on these people. I don't care. I want to speak to the manager. I'll do it.
How did that become Karen? How did that happen?
You know what? It's funny that you should ask that, because just the other day I was surfing through YouTube at random, and I saw a Dane Cook, the comedian who was big in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Dane Cook had a routine where he says, I think I started Karen. And he had this whole routine where he was talking about, basically this stereotypical suburban white woman with the weird haircut, and her name was Karen, and she was basically being a pain in the ass, and he was working this retail gig when he was in college, and it started with, well, do you want to see? I want to see the manager. Well, Karen, I'm the manager. What do you? And there was this whole evolution there, and so the theory is that it actually stemmed from that because it was such a popular routine that people started kind of spreading it out from there, and so that's why it became Karen was synonymous with bitchy people who just think that they're entitled to whatever you ask them for.
I just feel sorry for all the people named Karen.
I know there's a lot of Karens out there who are really nice people.
Yeah, like a Karen there from Aquinas.
Our friend Karen from Aquinas. My friend Karen is. I have another Karen from my gaming days who's married to my buddy Chris. Mm-hmm. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah. So I feel sorry for those Karens.
I do. I feel bad for them, but I'm wondering if they're taking it in stride.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I would hate to think there's a Karen out there who's just like, oh, Jesus, that again.
I mean, if someone said, "Oh, he's just doing a Dan,"
he's doing a Dan.
Chris yawned, by the way. That was a big yawn.
That was a big yawn. I'm sorry. I was trying to cover my mouth too, but I didn't think about doing that. I'm like, there's nobody watching. Oh no, Dan is. Never mind.
I'm watching. See, he did a Dan.
I did a Dan.
I did a Dan and watched them yawn.
Ay, madonna mia.
On that note.
On that happy and pious note, yeah. All right, so I'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we're going to be doing monkey businesses. We'll talk about monkey business when we're off the line.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
With Billy's work schedule, we might want to just put it to bed for a couple of weeks while we sort a few things out, and then when he's got his new work schedule, we can work around it.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Give us time to sort things out, and maybe want to do a couple of changes on the way.
Start streamlining things.
Yeah.
All right, my brother.
You have a good night.
You too. I'll talk to you real soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.